people that have the attitude while they're living, that don't mess with my stuff, don't mess with me. And it could be just the principle of their mindset. Granted, you should not have moved my body. No, I'm not saying all spirits are like that, but you know that all individuals have all personalities are different. So I'm sure out of 250, there's going to be one or two that's going to be angry that maybe an earthbound spirit that messed with their body, even though it doesn't mean anything. We know that, but some people's mindsets are different.
Yeah, and again, I want to talk about pork, because we're going into the holiday seasons and stuff like that. If you're going to have pork, please cook it, and it's better off if you cook it more than being done, to be on the safe side. The guy is in the news. He had something like 240 some worms in his body,
I've seen that.
Yeah, in the brain and all through his whole, system. It's just because of eating pork. You got to make sure it's extra well done, or don't even eat pork at all, because you risk. I keep thinking, my wife keeps buying pork chops. She keeps buying hams and stuff like that. And, I started, after reading all this stuff, like the guy last week had, tapeworm in his eyes. And you consider in your brain and all this stuff, what are they going to do? They maybe can kill it off, but how much damage has it done, to you physically before they can, it's scary.
Right. And I want to tell you something. If you want to find out, you want to do an experiment, go buy any piece of pork, whether pork chop, pork roast, put it in a pan, take some Coca-Cola, and submerge it, and let it sit for about a day or two submerged, and you will see all them worms, they will come up and out of that meat that you're going to eat. It's in all pork. That's why they tell you to always cook pork very thoroughly.
Yeah. Well, you know what my wife is cooking for dinner tonight?
Pork.
Pork roast.
Oh, that's one you definitely got to cook at a right temperature.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I know. Just think about that. I'm not even hungry for it now. But, also, to the listeners out there, if we sound a little bit different, even James is sounding different because he's now being run through a speech processor compressor. If you know what that is, or if you don't what it is, it enhances his voice a little bit to give a little bit more of the radio sound. And then I tweaked mine a little bit with another piece of equipment on mine too to give it a little bit better audio quality. So just let you know there. Also, check out the website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Check out our store. If you want to donate to help pay for our bandwidth, we're on radio stations, we're on the internet, we got a lot of listeners, but it's like having a milkshake. And you remember when they had those old places where you could go in, a soda fountain, those shops, you go in there and like on happy days, and everybody would be drinking milkshakes and, soda and have straws in it. Can you imagine every listener is a straw and every straw is a listener? So as you get more listeners, you get more straws put in that milkshake. And all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of them and everybody's trying to suck. Well, what happens is nobody can suck anything out of it because it's all gone, because there's so many people taking their little sip. It's nothing left. So what happens is you have to keep increasing the bandwidth. That costs more money. Now, people, message me, well, you're on the radio. You're making a lot of money. Radio stations don't pay to carry my show. They don't. They carry it for free. In fact, one station we have to pay to be on. A lot, by the way. So where we make our money is we do have some commercials on some of the radio stations that we make a little bit of money. But, as this show is growing so fast, it's really like a bunch of straws that are huge. So, if you want to go onto the website and donate $1 or $2 to help cover the bandwidth, please do. I'd be very appreciative. We bring you, or try to bring you, the very best guest we can get each night out there in the paranormal. And we try to give you the best paranormal entertainment we can. And we do it before the other shows. We're on at 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday and to Friday, and from 9 to 1 a.m. Eastern time. So, we're a couple hours ahead of most shows. And again, most of our guests that you hear on here, just name a couple, James, that we just had last week.
We had Whitley Strieber, Calvin Parker, Terry Lovelace. I mean, these are some big hitters, some big names.
Irina Scott.
Irina Scott as another one. We've had so many great interviews, great guests.
Yeah. And later in December, we're going to have Terry Lovelace on for like 3 hours. And he's got even more information he's going to share with us, too. So it's going to be interesting. And we're not just going to be all talking in December about UFOs and abductions. We're going to be talking about ghost hunting. We're going to be talking about time travel, dinosaurs again, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, matter of fact, I think my buddy Jack Hill's going to be coming on talking about some spirits. And let me tell you, there's a guy that has seen some stuff, and he's well known.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, that's the whole point of the show. We're trying to give you great entertainment. But you know what? If you like our show and you're a regular listener or downloader of the show and listen on demand, hey, give us $1 or $2. Help pay for the show. Again, you can go on to www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Hit the PayPal donate button. It goes through PayPal, so you don't have to worry. We don't have any of the information. Make $1, $2, $20, or $200. It doesn't matter. But, help support the show. And you know what, James? I just keep thinking about pork. I'm not hungry for pork tonight.
I am telling you, you don't take my word for it. Google it anywhere. There's videos out there to show a piece of pork right from the store, put it in a pan, submerge it in Coca-Cola, let it sit a day, maybe a 2, whatever, and you will see with amazement the worms coming out of that meat that you were about to eat, and that's mind-blowing.
And salmon, too, the same way. I hate to say it. I remember one time my wife bought some fresh salmon, and it was sitting on the counter for just a few minutes, and she was getting ready to cook it. And I noticed these giant worms going in and out of the flesh, and I'm going, you can eat it. I'm not going to eat anything. If it's worms in it, forget it. You know what?
Right.
In the UK, a British couple is offering $40,000 a year for a full-time dog sitter to watch 2 golden retrievers. I am gone, guys. I am history. I'm off to the UK. $40,000 to babysit dogs.
Yeah, you're used to that. You're babysitting those 2 big horses, so them dogs there would be easy for you.
Well, these dogs are getting so big that my son has. I swear to God, they're coming up now up to my chest when they're this, on all 4 legs.
And do they think they're lap dogs too? On top of that,
one does. What? You're sitting in your office chair, and the dog doesn't realize how big it is, and it wants to sit on your lap. It doesn't just come up to you; it goes from a run, and then jumps on you. And you're sitting there. The whole chair is about ready to fall over. That's how big these dogs are.
Yeah, and they're just pups yet. So imagine when they get a little bigger.
Oh yeah. Well, a baby seal was rescued from a parking deck in California. I mean, the news tonight, wacky news, isn't very wacky.
It's not. That's unusual. You mean there's nothing coming in from Florida?
Nothing. I can honestly say an Army veteran wins the lottery twice in 2 months. Now he's a multimillionaire. Wow. A deer was rescued from a plastic Halloween bucket in New York State.
That's not as wacky as stuff you used to get, like the snake at the restaurant. I'm still having nightmares over that one, I'll be honest with you. I just am. I don't know what to say, but boy, it's got me. Yeah.
I sure hate to have been, the owner of that car that the bear got trapped inside of it. Because I'm reading here, they literally and the bear locked the car. So the time they got the bear out, the car inside was not much of anything left.
Sheesh. That is, I can imagine, because, some of the plastics that they use to manufacture with some of the interior, it smells sweet to them, or they're attracted to them, and they will tear that stuff up.
Oh, yeah. In Chicago, a Chicago woman is attempting to do a hula hoop. The hula hoop you just put around your waist and you wiggle your waist, and the hula hoop would go around your waist. And if you're lucky, you could do it like for 3-4 minutes before it dropped down your feet. This woman is trying to win the world record for 100 hours. I tell you, she must have some smooth moving hips, my friend. That is cracking information.
I got to tell you, that is, my goodness. You really got to be coordinated to do that, especially for that long. Wow. I couldn't imagine. I barely can do one or two, and I'm done.
Oh, yeah. And now, again, a poor deer. Beer. I'm thinking beer right now. A Georgia deputy rescues a deer stuck in between a fence, with the metal bars.
Oh, yeah, it's about that time. They're all rutting and running, and bucks chasing the does, and yeah, they're going crazy. They run into anything. I've seen some crazy deers out there in the woods before, let me tell you. they just run, and they'll get caught in fences, and I've seen them caught in tree branches, for the love of God.
Oh, yeah. You wonder how many of them perish because they get stuck. Not just deer, a lot of animals and stuff. Have you seen that little panda? There was a fire in Australia, a big, huge fire, and these poor little pandas and all these other critters were, trying to get away from it. And the one lady is on the road, and she sees this panda, not panda, but I'm trying to think what they call it, koala bear, being burnt really bad. She runs and pours water on it and grabs it.
I did see that. Matter of fact, I got a little story similar to that about the fires there later. But yeah, that's another thing with the people don't realize with the earth changes. Those fires, man, they're wiping out so much acreage of forest, and that really hurts the environment in so many ways. Plus, look at all the loss of animal life too.
Oh yeah, I mean the snakes and spiders, they can perish. I don't care. But all the others, and there's a lot of these, creatures that are really getting, well, can I say it, short in supply in the world. And to see them have to go, this is horrible. And it's not just there. We got the rainforest burning up and what's happening in Australia. Look what happened in our own country in California, that big, huge fire and all that stuff. I mean, in Australia, they were talking about hundreds of thousands of homes that will be burning up. I mean, it's really, crazy. Anyway, a family spent 153 days creating the world's largest handwritten Bible. I wonder if they had, finger cramps after that.
Jeez, I wonder how big this Bible is.
It's not a pocket one, I can tell you that. I'm looking at the picture. It's one that's probably about 2 feet by 2.5 feet.
Oh wow, yeah, that's big. And wonder that. Well, I guess if they're in Guinness, that was probably their motivation. So there you go. But I have come across some books. You imagine how much that book must weigh?
A lot. Wow. Guess what? It's time for break. We'll be back in about 3 minutes, and then we're going to just jive talk, and all that for the next 25 minutes till we bring our guest on, and we're going to talk about ghost hunting, ghost tours, UFOs, whatever comes out of my brain and his brain. We'll talk about it. So stay tuned tonight. You're listening to me, Gary, on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and my buddy, James Christbaum. But don't trust anything he says because he eats sugar frosted flakes. We'll be back.
Diving for a dream, scintillas in